Hey, it's Ryan with Goodwin Racing, and let's talk about brakes for the 2016 and up MX5, the 4th generation ND chassis. Car behind me is one of our sort of street track setup cars. This one is running our 12.88 inch brakes, and we will get to those in a minute. Car's actually wrapped in vinyl, but it's probably one of my favorites because this is at least as close of a match as we could find to the 3rd generation MX5 winning blue, which is just a dynamite color, and so we wanted to have an ND in that color. So I really love how this one looks. Let's start at the beginning though. We'll get to the big brakes, but let's start with sort of something a little milder, what a lot of you guys might be considering. Now the MX5 comes with solid brakes. If you're happy with how your brakes feel and perform, and you're not running into limits with them, then maybe you don't need to spend a ton of money to upgrade the brakes. You're not exceeding their limitations or anything like that. You just want to make sure that you've got good quality stuff in there so that you can rely on it when you're out having fun with the car. We have a high performance Miata brake kit on our website, and that is going to be high quality replacements for your factory parts. So it's going to come with rotors for the front and rear, all 4 corners. These are StopTech rotors. They're slotted, really high quality iron used in them. Same size as stock, work with your factory calipers, but just good high quality stuff. Those kits are also going to come with Porterfield R4S brakes, brake pads, I'm sorry. R4S brakes are probably our favorites for street performance use. They can do everything that you want on the street. If you start pushing them in the canyons or on the weekends, they've got a decent temperature threshold. They don't do the crazy weird stuff that track pads are going to do. You're not going to get a crazy amount of like noise or tons of dust. They'll dust a little more than a factory pad, but they're not too bad. And these are really one of our favorite pads just for all around general use. So you get those for front and rear. And in the kit you're also going to get Tech to Fit brake lines, stainless steel brake lines for all 4 corners as well. And with that, you've got high quality components on all 4 corners of your car for brakes, and that's going to serve a lot of guys really well. And it's certainly a really affordable option compared to some of the other kind of bigger, more extreme stuff that you can do with brakes. So do consider that. Sometimes you don't have to get too crazy. Now, venturing a little bit further, the next level of things would be something like a caliper upgrade kit. Now, a caliper upgrade kit is going to upgrade the caliper, but not the rotor. So the rotor is going to be your same factory size rotor. Actually, will work over your stock rotor or any of the replacements, like these StopTechs that just are the same geometry and size and everything as your factory stuff. Those kits are going to come in a 4-piston or a 6-piston option, and there are some differences, but the main reason that you're doing a caliper upgrade kit is to save weight. 4-piston is going to be about 4.5 pounds saved per corner, and the 6-piston is going to be about 3 pounds saved per corner. And that weight doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when we're talking about unsprung weight, the weight that's outboard of your suspension, that is the most significant weight that you want to be paying attention to if you're trying to improve ride quality. So actually something that doesn't really even have to do a whole lot with the actual brake performance, saving weight is going to be a big impact on ride quality. And so that's a big reason to be considering that. A lot of guys really like the difference in feel that you get when you save weight on the nose of the car that way. Now, biggest difference. Actually, first I should cover what you're getting in the kit, and that is going to be, with either of these, you're going to get a custom CNC'd aluminum bracket that we have made for us that is going to place this over the rotor. You're going to get stainless steel lines. They're different than the lines that you would get in like the high performance kit that is intended for factory calipers, because the threading on these calipers is going to be different. So the lines are different, but you're getting lines, and you're also getting pads that work with these calipers. Now, why 4 or 6 piston, or how do you make the decision between the two? The biggest difference, I think, is going to be in pad longevity or pad size. The 4 piston uses a pad that's very similar to, it's about 3% more, but near as makes no difference, to the same volume as your factory pads. So your pad life is going to be basically the same as your factory caliper setup and how long those pads last. There are some other kits out there that use even smaller pads. We just don't think that makes any sense. Why are you going to upgrade things and then actually be downgrading things by having a pad in your new caliper that wears out much faster than your stock stuff? That just doesn't add up. So we made sure to use calipers that had the appropriate pad volume in them. 4-piston is going to be the same as stock. 6-piston, the pad size on the 6 is going to be about 20%, I think it's 18% larger or more volume than your factory pads. And that means that your pads are going to last longer. So you're going to go longer intervals in between pad changes. And that's really nice. The other difference is that the 6-piston has got a bridge over the center, and just overall, this caliper is a little more rigid than the 4-piston. And so you can feel that in the pedal. Both the 4 and the 6-piston are a good bit more rigid, are a huge improvement actually in rigidity over the factory caliper, which is it's just a 1-piston sliding caliper. It's got kind of no rigidity at all. And so if you do the 4 or 6-piston upgrade, you notice a big improvement in just how stiff that pedal feels, how responsive the pedal is. You feel like you can kind of threshold brake, and you get more feedback a lot better than with the factory calipers. So that's another improvement, but with the 6, definitely you can feel that little bit of extra rigidity compared to the 4. Now beyond caliper kits, then we get into rotors. Now we do have, and I don't have one to be able to show you here, but we do have a 2-piece rotor option for the ND that is the same size as the factory rotor size. It's just this black portion here would be aluminum. It's just sort of the same sort of construction as our big brakes. Aluminum center hat, iron friction ring around it, and they're held together by bolts. That is going to be aimed squarely at people who, above all else, are looking to save weight. You're not getting any additional braking performance from that. You're just cutting weight. So that's going to improve your ride quality. And for guys who are in like a certain race class where you can't change the diameter of the rotor, that's going to just let them cut as much weight as possible while sticking to the factory dimensions of the rotor. Now, if you're not stuck with having to follow a certain rule book or something for that, I would consider going larger, because there are a bunch more benefits that come with a larger rotor that you don't get if you stick to the factory rotor size. That's where our 12.88-inch kit comes in. And we do have a middle ground for the kits. There is a more sort of budget-oriented 12.2-inch kit, and you'll see that on our website as well. It comes in at a lower cost, so consider that as well if you're looking on our website. But I'll kind of explain why I think the 12.88 is the way to go if you are thinking about a bigger rotor. The 12.88 kit is going to come again with the option for the 4 or the 6-piston caliper, and it's going to come with all the same stuff. Otherwise, it's going to have a bracket that spaces the caliper out over that big rotor. You're going to get the rotor, which is a friction ring that we're having custom made for us. It's a heat-treated iron friction ring that's a really high-quality curved vane design. It's got an aluminum center hat to cut mass where possible. Actually, I believe, and I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but the rotor is nearly if not a hair lighter than the factory rotor, even though it's quite a bit larger, almost 2-inch larger in diameter. That's a big deal, because you haven't actually added weight. You've still cut all the weight in the caliper, and then you haven't gained any weight, even though you've increased 2 inches in diameter in the rotor. So you've got an overall lighter setup while somehow going 2 inches larger on the brakes, which is a big deal. So you're going to get, and you're going to get stainless lines. You're going to get pads for whichever caliper, 4 or 6 that you selected. The big thing is, why do you need a close to 13-inch diameter rotor? Maybe not everybody does, but Porsche makes some of the most track-capable cars that come off a showroom floor. You can take a lot of Porsches and you can go straight to the racetrack, drive them all weekend long at the racetrack, pull right off, drive to work the next day. And they're sort of known for having that capability. When you look at a Porsche, one of the things that you might notice is it's got massive brakes in that car. Why? The big benefits of a larger rotor are all in thermal capacity. You get a little bit more braking torque as well when you go larger in diameter because your radius of your rotor, so your leverage of your brakes is improved. But the big thing is thermal capacity. And this is the thing that you can't change if you stick with your factory rotor size. You're just stuck with the amount of iron that you've got. As you go larger in your rotor size, you can put more mass in that rotor, and that means that it's got more heat capacity, so to speak, and ability to shed heat. So the 12.8-inch kit that's on this car, a couple years ago, when we were just releasing the kit and we had just finished all the development, we got in this car, I got in this car, drove it from San Diego all the way to Monterey, 400 and something miles, and we pulled onto the racetrack. We drove Laguna Seca nonstop for 2 days at the Miatas at the time it was called Miatas at Laguna Seca. Now it's Miata Reunion, the big event where everybody comes and brings their Miatas and everybody hangs out. We did 2 full days, something like 300 miles at Laguna Seca that weekend. And then without even jacking the car up, without making any changes, I got in the car and I drove it 400 miles all the way back here to San Diego. You can't do that with any other brake system. That is that Porsche approach. Massive rotor, it can handle all the heat. It makes a pad that is able to do all your daily use, able to run at a low enough temperature that it can also survive at a racetrack, which you couldn't accomplish with a smaller rotor. That same pad would actually be overheating and crumbling, whereas with the big brakes, it's actually able to handle what you're throwing at it, even at the racetrack. So for me, that's the brakes that I want to have on the car. I want to be able to do anything with the car and never have to think about, do I have enough brakes? Do I need to change parts? Not everybody necessarily needs that. You know, another way that you could approach things is you could have a set of track pads and you could have a set of street pads. And you may find that you need to have 2 sets of rotors as well, because the transfer layers between the two aren't necessarily going to play nicely together. Although we do find that Porterfield, for example, has their whole line of pads is usually able to, you can swap the pads and the transfer layers between them that are on the rotor will actually play pretty nice with them. Not all pads are like that, but you could have a set of track pads and rotors, set of street pads and rotors, and you could swap in between each when you're going to go and use the car hard, go to the track, do a track day, things like that. But I prefer to just have something that I know can handle everything I can throw at it. That's where the 12.88-inch brakes come in to play. So a lot of options. You can start mild with the high performance brake kit that's just pads, rotors, and lines, and you can go all the way to wild with the full 12.88-inch kit. Something that's important to note is that if you get the caliper upgrade kit, because maybe you're not ready to do a big brakes, maybe you're trying to fit things under a smaller wheel, and actually that brings up that if you go on our website and you look at our listings for each of these brake options, the caliper upgrade kits, the 12.88 kit, we do try to list on the product page all the wheels that we have confirmed fit with it. So if you've got a certain aftermarket wheel, if you've got factory wheels, whatever wheel you have, you can go on our website and take a look at what will clear, whether you've got a set of aftermarket wheels that makes it possible to clear brakes, or if you may need to use a spacer, things like that. That info is all on the website. But going back to what I was going to mention is that if you get the caliper upgrade kit, and later you want to have that, maybe you decide that you want to get the 12.88-inch rotors, we do offer a upgrade path for you, which includes the 12.88 hats, bolts, and friction rings. And it also includes a new bracket, because of course the caliper has to move outward to space out appropriately over that much larger rotor, but it gives you the new brackets to do that. So the only thing that you are essentially buying twice over a long period of time then is that you've bought a bracket for the stock size rotors with the caliper upgrade kit that you're then going to kind of take off, put it on the shelf, and then you're going to use the new brackets that come with that that upgrade kit. But you're going to still use the same calipers, same pads, whatever pads you're using. You're going to use the stainless lines that you've already got in the kit. So most of that money spent just goes into then using the larger rotor, and effectively you've got the full larger kit at the end there. So you can look on our website and find the upgrade kit. If you've got our caliper upgrade kit already, you can get the rotor upgrade kit and just sort of move to the larger size if you find the need for it. As always, you can always call or email us if you've got any questions. We're always on the phones and emails available to chat with you about your specific build. Tell us how you're using the car. We can really sort of work with you on finding the right option for how you're using it. We don't like saying, oh, this is the biggest, baddest kit, everybody needs it. That's not our approach. Let's talk about how you're using the car and figure out what's right for you to put a big smile on your face, and so that you don't feel like you've got something that's the wrong part or isn't quite what you wanted. That's what we're here for. So give us a call, shoot us an email, go to goodwinracing.com for all of that, and we will talk to you soon.